So this right here is an interesting concept, right? This concept is prayer versus manifesting and God versus the universe. See, I've been on different sides of this whole spirituality shit. And because I've been on different sides of it, I know what it's like to be on that real rigid religious shit, to feel like you're not being as rigid as you are when you really are still being rigid and religious, being all the way on the other side to where shit don't matter at all. And then also just taking a perspective, just being more balanced and understanding. And there's a difference between integration and premature integration when it comes to spirituality as well. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that, right? These things are not a contradiction, right? They're not a contradiction. And I'm explaining what I mean. So prayer versus manifesting, this concept works like this. Prayer is time where you talk to God. You need to do that from an intrinsic place. You need to do that because you actually want to talk to Him, because you actually want to have conversation, because you're actually in that place where you're trying to build some type of intimacy. If your mindset is you're just praying because you want something, that's not good. But guess what? In life, you still need shit, right? And what can happen along this process is if you get overstimulated by the idea of prayer versus manifestation and shit like that, then you will falsely conflate anytime you get what you asked for as an answered prayer, and then think God's happy with you. And then anytime your prayers aren't answered, you're going to feel like God's not happy with you, or you're going to have to lie to yourself and act like your prayers are answered when they're not, right? Or you're going to have to convince yourself that that your prayers aren't answered when they are. Until you're at a place where you can manifest consistently, separate that from your prayer life. I'm telling you right now, it's something that can help. Because you don't want to be prematurely integrated into your relationship with God. So separate the two. Manifesting, it's about your polarity, it's about your energy. It's about making sure that you're in a feminine submissive position or a masculine dominant position towards your goals. If you take a feminine submissive position towards God, and you're really open and you receive guidance and information, then your energy will align yourself for certain things to happen. And one thing you have to do is to separate the knowledge of good and evil from the things that you desire, but then also to look at those things logically as well. So you got to think, what do I want? I know for me, how manifesting works for me is I will be in a certain situation, and then a feeling will arise within me saying, do you want that? And typically, if I say I've never done something or I never had something, typically in those situations, the opportunity will present itself. I don't always have to take the opportunity, but it will present itself. Sometimes it's just like how your words work. Sometimes it's just how manifesting works. Like, I heard somebody say, was it Neil Donald Walsh or something like that, talking about how the universe doesn't understand the word never. Or sometimes it works like, to the measure that you meet, the same will be measured back to you. Or kind of like the concept of what you sow, what you reap. When you're being judgmental about certain situations in a particular way, it can put you into a position to where that opportunity will present itself to you because you've never had that opportunity to experience somebody feeling what they felt to do what they did. So that's more so on the negative side. But on the other side, there's a feeling that arises up in me at times. And it's a feeling of, would you like to have this? And then I just say, I receive it. I leave it alone. My energy's aligned for that. And then somehow I end up doing things that put me in the position or the direction of having those experiences that I desire to have. But it's not a matter of me begging God for something that I don't think He can give me. Prayer is just talking to God. Manifesting is about receiving results. Separate prayer from manifesting until you're manifesting consistently to where you don't feel like if you don't get what you want, God's mad at you, or if you get what you want, that God's happy with you, because you can be manifesting things that are negative and then think God's happy with you because you're manifesting things that are negative. Excuse me, it's a little cold out here. And then there's this whole mindset of God versus the universe, and people taking a really strong stance towards things that are New Age. One thing to understand about the New Age is this, right? Some of those things are bad, some of those things are good, but it's an increase of knowledge. Just like a lot of things that we're seen as magic are really science when you look deeper into it. A lot of things that used to be seen as evil are things that we regularly use in this day and age from a place of purity. Like, listen, to the pure, all things are pure, but to the defiled, all things are defiled. Right? So when you look at it from that perspective, look at the world and the system as the system of sowing and reaping. God works on grace, right? God works on grace, God works on love. But the system he put in place, the knowledge of good and evil, this world perspective is a perspective from which life is going to work by. What you put in is what you get out. So the universe is the system of sowing and reaping. The universe is the system of, what you put in, what you get out, and it takes work. But salvation ain't something that takes work, ain't it? It's something that takes belief. Manifesting isn't something that sometimes it takes work, sometimes it doesn't, but it's not about whether it does or whether it doesn't. It's about whether you get what you want. So sometimes when you manifest something will come in your direction in a feminine, submissive way, to where you're doing something intrinsically because you enjoy it and something comes out of it. And sometimes that manifesting comes from you taking a masculine dominant stance to where you take a feminine dominant stance towards the guidance and instruction that you're being given. You follow that leadership, and through taking that feminine submissive stance towards that, you take a masculine dominant stance towards life. And then that masculine dominant stance you take towards life from an intrinsic place is something that puts you in a position to where you manifest the things that you desire. And until you're aligned on a consistent enough basis to not conflate the outcome that you get with how God feels about you, then it's better to separate prayer from manifesting and separate God from the universe. Like, integration goes a lot deeper than just sex. Sex is just a platform to talk about these things. I like sex. I'm a big fan of it. So, I do sex coaching. I do, coaching talking about sexual energy work, sexual polarity, and integration. Sexual polarity is something that has to occur before integration can occur, because if you prematurely integrate, then you're going to be in a position where you're either feminine dominant or masculine submissive, and neither one of those states of being is going to be something that's really aligned to where you can have consistent results, or to where you can have results that go outside of the norm on a consistent basis. So if you're masculine submissive, it's more so, you're going to be limited by psychological reactants. You're going to be limited by the idea of what you think is fair. So you're not going to be able to really give yourself over to something and take intrinsic desire and intrinsic reward out of the things that you do. But when you're feminine and dominant, you're taking so many shortcuts that along the way, it's going to be inconsistent. You're going to have a lot of highs, a lot of lows, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and you may take shortcuts that put you in a bad position. So I do think that, you have your relationship with God, right? You have your prayer, but understand that that's a relationship that has to be built on its own time. In the meantime, you still got to eat. In the meantime, you still got to manifest the things that you desire. In the meantime, manifesting is still a thing. So really, is God something that is in opposition to the universe? No, he created the universe. He created the universe. These systems were put in place. Like it says, if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat. Man will work out the sweat of his brow. Now you can get to a place in your life where the things that you do off the sweat of your brow are things that you enjoy. When you get to the place where the things that you do off the sweat of your brow are things that sustain you financially, emotionally, sexually, intellectually, they stimulate you to the point where you feel like you're not even doing work, then that's when you're in a place in your life where you're integrated, right? That's where you get to the place where you're receiving like the tree of life versus just receiving the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because when you prematurely take the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, when you're prematurely integrated, then you're in a place where you're not in polarity. And then when you receive the knowledge of good and evil, when you're not in polarity, you're not integrated, then that's going to be something that's going to heap onto you doing good or doing bad. And that mindset and that perspective is going to be something that greatly hinders your ability to have peace and security and love and satisfaction in your life. Going to be a lot of toiling and striving, a lot of willpower and effort. And you can't really avoid that. Masculine submissive is about that willpower and that effort. But feminine and dominant is about being manipulative, being abusive, going above and beyond, trying to finesse certain situations. And those are liminal spaces. You know, I'm not going to tell you that you'll never be there and that you can never be there. And that's always wrong. Sometimes you got to transition. You're not really going to just up and be masculine and dominant overnight. You're not just going to up and be feminine and submissive overnight. You might if you encounter somebody who makes you feel that way. But a lot of times it's about that feeling, right? It's about that feeling. It's about your emotional discipline. It's about all these different factors and being in alignment and being in polarity, right? What's the other thing, right? So for the man, it was, well, you're going to toil and strive. You're going to work off the sweat of your brow. That can't be avoided, right? It can't be avoided. But look at it like this. On the woman's side, is that your desire will be towards the man, right? So if your desire is towards the man and you're masculine submissive, then you're going to not be receptive to his dominance, right? So that masculine submissiveness is going to mess you up because you're not going to be lubricated for the things that are difficult. It's just like a woman who has a high level of sexual attraction to you and she's really excited about you. Certain situations and scenarios and positions you put her in are going to be things that excite her even more than things that normally would make her comfortable, because she's excited about the fact that she's attracted enough to you to not worry about being comfortable, right? It's just like if you're dealing with one woman, right? In her mindset, her perspective is that, okay, well, no, I need you to be my boyfriend first, or I need you to be my husband first, or I need you to take me out, or I need you to do this, I need you to do that. No, I don't want to be in this hotel, or no, you just got out the gym. I don't want to suck your dick. You just got out the gym. Or her mindset may be, I don't want to do this, whatever it is. It's just certain things that just doesn't feel fair or it doesn't feel comfortable. But when a woman's feminine and submissive, all those things that would make a woman feel uncomfortable are things that increase her desire level. So that's where you can have sex in public. You could do it a variety of ways, variety of positions. She's not going to worry about you grabbing her head if she's giving you head. She is going to be turned on by you being aggressive enough to just force it into her throat. And she's going to be open and receptive to it. She might even get to the point where she's damn near able to orgasm from giving you head, from having her throat penetrated, right? Losing control is something that it increases her excitement. It increases her desire level. She doesn't care. She's not worried about a hotel room. She just worried about having you, having your presence. That's what being feminine and submissive is. So when you understand that, you understand that masculine submissiveness, when it comes to a woman's desire for male validation, can put her into a bad spot. Because it's very stagnant. It limits her ability to go forward. Right? But it's sustainable for a short period of time, but not forever. Not in a day and age where polarity is becoming more present. Not in a day and age where she constantly hears about women having orgasms. She constantly hears about people having these exciting experiences. Constantly hears about women who have men who are feminine, submissive with them and do whatever they want, right? So being masculine and submissive is not something that's really going to satisfy her. It's just like how most people hate the idea of a 9-to-5 job these days. But she's feminine and dominant, it's not going to be something sustainable. She's going to be duplicitous. She's going to cheat. She may get abusive. She may lie. She might be neglectful. She might be inconsistent. And also, she's not going to be able to experience that true submissive pleasure, that pleasure that comes from giving up control. So when a woman has that desire for a man, she's going to desire a man like Eve. She's going to desire a man to do things that will cause her to not respect or desire him. It's that desire for male validation. But that desire for male validation is something that's supposed to be concentrated into the primary man that you're dealing with, right? And by that particular thing happening, it works like this. When a woman's feminine and submissive, she's receptive to the dominance, which is the good D, right? And that gives her a level of pleasure. She's feminine, so she's malleable. So that means she's not looking at the situation that says it has to be a particular way. And femininity is attracted to strength. So feminine dominance is attracted to a challenge, while feminine submissive is attracted to leadership. And if she sees positive results from the leadership, her expectations are set, they're followed through on. She's seeing growth within herself. She's seeing growth within her life. She's seeing growth within her sexuality and her sexual experiences. Then a woman's desire for male validation is something that helps her. It's something that leads to greater polarity, and it helps her get to the place of being integrated. But oftentimes a woman will get prematurely integrated and desire validation for things that she hasn't earned, which will cause her to lose respect for the man, grow entitled to it, become psychologically reactant if he becomes masculine and dominant, or if he decides to behave in a more dominant way. If he's upfront and honest with her about his intentions, she may say, well, that's not a good deal. That doesn't sound fair to me. Because she feels, she places too high of a value on herself because she quote unquote knows her worth. You know, these are things that happen. So when you look at the curses in the Bible, those things don't have to be curses. They don't have to be, right? Those things are curses when you're masculine and submissive, or you're feminine and dominant. You're feminine and dominant, you're taking a lot of shortcuts, you're being duplicitous, you're being dishonest, right? You're doing things in a way where things will turn around on you in a bad way. But when you're masculine and submissive, which is trying to do good, right? That's when you're trying to do good, is when you're masculine and submissive. That's going to wear down on you. Eventually, you're going to feel like you want to be a full person. So that's sexual polarity disintegration, sexual polarity erosion. So when we're looking at this whole topic of God versus the universe and prayer versus manifesting, this is a mindset and a perspective I want to bring to people. This is a way of looking at it to where you can be more aligned within yourself and more aligned within life. You have to be able to identify yourself, separate the stimuli from the emotional reaction and the interpretation of that emotional reaction. Stop being reactive, stop being reactionary, and look at things more so from a perspective of how can I be more masculine and dominant? How can I be more feminine and submissive? Where is that channel towards? How does that fit polarity? What am I attracted to? Right? How can I, play with my preferences? Because you have more control over your preferences than you think you do. It's how you look at things. Telling yourself you're supposed to like something doesn't make you like it. But there is a process to where you can develop fetishes. So let's say you're masculine and submissive. You can work yourself out of that place. But it's going to take work. And if that work feels like it's too much work to do it, or you don't learn how to get into a feminine position to where you're doing it from a place of desire, then trying to logic yourself into being masculine and submissive is not going to work. So this is just Brody. I'm out.
Now, y'all make sure y'all remember to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know that you subscribe. After you've commented on 10 posts, you let me know, right? Then just hit me up. I do video requests. That's something I'm starting to do more. Up until I reach like 1,000 subscribers, maybe 500 subscribers, but maybe 1,000. If you comment on, 10 posts, after you comment on one, let me know that you subscribed. When I see it, go ahead, hit me up. We can do a video request, right? But I do charge to do video requests if you aren't doing that, right? But like, comment, subscribe, share it. If you know there's somebody who would benefit from this information, just let them get some access to this information, because I'm making this because I do want to help people, and I do want people to benefit from a lot of the stuff that I'm saying, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. So, that's it. It's Brody. I'm out.